Listen to this. This is what is affecting a lot of beekeepers right now in the spring. Hey, David, I got a package of bees and I put them in their hive, in their new hive 7 days ago. I inspected today and there are a couple of frames drawn out, but no eggs or sign of the queen. What should I do? Everybody is constantly having queen issues. Now, the queen is the most important bee in the entire colony. Of all the workers, all the drones, it comes down to how good our queen is doing. And I had a live stream last Thursday night at 7 o'clock. Every Thursday I do this, and I answer questions from beekeepers. Pages of questions left over from the live stream, and they're all to do with queens. I answered a lot of questions on my live stream about queens. So today we're going to talk about all the issues beekeepers are having with queens, and maybe this is one of the reasons that we're seeing more and more bees die every year. They're dying from queen issues. Now, that can be because if you have queen issues, like in the summer or the fall, the colony loses population. If you go into winter with a bad queen, she really can't lay enough brood. Now, she doesn't lay a lot in the winter, but she can't lay enough to kind of keep things percolating all through winter. I really think we ought to consider problems with the queen. Now, this can be resolved if two things happen. Number one, the beekeeper learns to really understand queens, how to manage queens, how to introduce new queens, how to really observe a queen, how well she's laying. And number two, if we can get more beekeepers to raise their own queens, wow, that's going to make a huge difference. That's why I made a whole class on how to raise queens. So let's get into these questions right now. Going to be a big help. Listen to this. This is what is affecting a lot of beekeepers right now in the spring. Hey, David, I got a package of bees and I put them in their hive, in their new hive 7 days ago. I inspected today and there are a couple of frames drawn out, but no eggs or sign of the queen. What should I do? I believe what happens sometimes is that you can install a package of bees and everything kind of goes well, but it's maybe cooler or, they can't, it's rainy. It's raining. Right now it's rainy and windy. So they don't fly a lot. They can't go get resources. So what happens, they may have enough food on board or you're feeding them and they start to draw out, some of these frames that you put in there, undrawn foundation, they're starting to draw it out. And the queen starts laying. She gets released from her cage by the other bees and she starts walking around and laying like she's supposed to. But she'll lay until there's no more room to lay. And I believe what often happens is that when the colony realizes that the queen isn't laying anymore, because there's no room really, they take it out on her and maybe they do away with her to raise a new one. So in your case, maybe your queen might have died. Maybe something happened to her. She's not in the hive at all. Now, a new colony, you can tell if the queen is there because on a new package, the bees are pretty small, right? The number of bees are small and it's easy. Now, on a big colony, maybe you have 2 deeps, 2 supers, you got 40 frames to look through, you can miss her. Even I miss seeing the queen sometimes. Something this small, it means your queen isn't there. You gotta really order a new queen now, get that queen moving. These are the kind of issues that really starts to take out your hive and weaken it all year long. Let's keep talking about more questions to do with queens. If the queen is injured, can they take and mend her, or will I need to get another queen? Yeah, there's no way that the bees in the colony have the ability to mend a queen. Queens often, they get where they run out of stored sperm in their spermatheca and they can't lay any more fertilized eggs. If at best they can lay unfertilized eggs, which will become drones and do the colony no good as far as the future. So in this case, if she's injured, then definitely you need to replace her with a new queen. Shanna from Michigan just started out getting 2 nucleuses. In the first year, it's at best to build up or split, and so that you have more queens and colonies working for you going into winter? That's a very good question, Shanna. Here's the deal. If you're getting 2 nucleuses this year, here's what you need to really consider. I recommend that what you do first is let these 2 colonies build up. You need to get them ready to go through winter. Splitting a new colony, nucleuses or packages the first year, people do it. I've done it. If you're a really top-notch experienced beekeeper and you know exactly how to monitor these splits all year long so they get built up really good, You can pull it off. But if you're new to beekeeping and you're not really experienced yet, this can be catastrophic, because if you split small colonies, they may not have enough population to really get in shape for winter. I'd avoid splitting them unless you have the skill set to do it. Hey, Margaret, what should I do with a hive that overwintered but is queenless? I'm getting another package. Should I add them to the new bee package or maybe kick them out? I need the box. So here you go. This is another example that sometimes we lose our queens in the wintertime. Queens, like any bee or any animal, can die in the winter. Lack of food, some sort of disease. It could be any reason that you could lose a queen in the wintertime. That's why I strongly recommend that you always replace your queens once a year. Start out with a new queen every year. If you replace your queen with a new queen after summer solstice, which is June the 21st, you'll be able to have a lot of benefits. A new queen is going to produce more queen mandibular pheromone in the spring. That can reduce swarming a bit. And also, if you have a new queen going through winter, it's less likely that anything bad would happen to her in the winter. It can, but if you have an old queen, then certainly she could die in the wintertime and you're coming out of winter without a queen. In your case, whatever caused it, Margaret, what you need to consider doing, what I would do now, if I have a hive that's queenless and I'm getting a new package, I would make it simple. Take the easy road out. Buy a new mated queen, put it in the overwintered colony, and let that colony recover from being queenless. Meanwhile, go ahead and raise your package just like you normally would. Now you've got possibility of two strong hives through the spring and summer. That's the way I would handle that. These are more questions about queens, and listen closely, my friend, because I believe these questions and the answers that I give will help you understand how to overcome some of the queen issues that you might run into very likely this year. Ben, what's the best way to locate a virgin queen in long hive? No luck on finding one. Any tricks to locate her easier? I'm guessing you mean a Langstroth, or do you mean a long Langstroth? I'm gonna go with both. It really doesn't matter if you have a long Langstroth, a horizontal Langstroth, or a long hive, or whatever. You're looking at frames, right? Any kind of hive you have. But a virgin queen is a little more different, a little harder to find. Let me show you a video right here, by the way, of a virgin queen, because a lot of you maybe have never seen a virgin queen. This video will help you understand kind of what she looks like. Let's go ahead and I'll show you. Her abdomen appears smaller to me. It can stretch out once she gets more, when she's mated. Also, it's more predominant, kind of a flat point to it where it joins the thorax. I can identify that more of a hump there. Okay. So I'm going to put this frame aside. She'll stay on it unless she flies and gets mated. You know, it's just like another bee sometimes. They're hard to see. Some people think they're smaller. And I say they're not smaller. They're just not filled up with eggs. They're not pregnant. So I believe their abdomen begins to stretch a little bit and fill up more when she has more eggs in her. And but anyway, before they're mated like this, you can notice the bees don't even care that they're in there. There's no retinue. She's not walking around slowly trying to lay eggs. She's bebopping around pretty darn fast like all the other bees. Hard to find them unless you have a lot of experience doing it. So you just got to put your time in, Ben, and try to figure out what do virgin queens look like, and how do I kind of start looking and noticing a virgin queen. Maybe that video helped you a lot. Christina, David, I opened a hive early March. Old queen was gone and a virgin queen is present. No drones. What should I do? Thank you. Hold the course, and hopefully the weather will warm up, Christina, wherever you live, to get those drones out in the drone congregation areas where that virgin queen can get mated. I'm going to recommend that you wait about 10 days, 10 to 14 days, and then go into the hive, check on the virgin queen, and see if she's mated. How would you do that? You're going to look at frames and see if you see eggs or larvae. 14 days is long enough to even maybe see cat brood if she got mated soon after you did your inspection. That's the best way to find out. If in 14 days, Christina, you don't have a mated queen, got to buy a new one, get one in there. Here's another one. NH says, question, queenless hive. Can I take a frame of brood from successful hive? And if so, can I take a completely capped over frame, or do I take a frame with brand new eggs and not all larvae are capped? Now, that's a very good question. I understand what you're asking. So that's why I say if you're starting beekeeping, it's great to start with 2 hives, because if you lose your queen in one hive, you can transfer the eggs over to the queenless hive and let them start raising a new queen. So in this case, your question is good. If I understand it correctly, you're asking what type of brood to carry over into the queenless colony. And the best kind is a frame with eggs on it. It is the best way to get the youngest brood into the hive so they can raise a high quality queen. Any brood that is over a larvae that's a 1-day-old larvae or older, and that can start getting a little too old for them to raise a queen. So if you give them eggs, they can easily start raising the right age brood to raise a good high quality queen. Recapping, frame of eggs into the new hive with bees on it from the other hive, carry the bees and all, and let them raise a new queen. Yeah, it's still going to take you about 25 to 30 days once they start raising a queen for you to get a laying queen. It's going to be a month out. So if you can buy a new queen, it'd be a lot faster for you. Hey, Jana, do you think the plastic queen excluder is not as good as a wood with wire? All my hives came with plastic. Thank you so much, David. Jana, that's a matter of opinion. My plastic queen excluders are the ones that I prefer. I think they work great and they're easy to handle. Kevin says, first year beekeeper, is it okay to have both Carnies and Italians in the same yard if I plan to sell queens in the future? Now, that's a loaded question, Kevin. Yes, it's fine. You're still dealing with Apis mellifera. They might have some ancestors that go back to different countries. It's no issue at all. Now, if you're wanting to talk about genetics, we tend to think that, because bees came from different parts of the world, that some genetic differences will show up and be good or bad and so forth. That's what you'll have to watch. Take my class on making queens, or you can do some research and find out how you want to get the best genetics into your hive. All right, Beth, I did an inspection last week and found 2 supersedure cells and some swarm cells. I went back in a few days later to do a split, and the swarm cells were gone, but the supersedure cells were still there and still open. I saw lots of good brood, no eggs. There is a lot of pollen, nectar, and honey. I have lots of bees in the hive. Do you think my queen is failing? I haven't seen the queen. A couple of things you need to really be aware of, Beth. You got to look for eggs. Do you see eggs? That's the only way the only way you can evaluate the performance of your queen. So what you need to do, Beth, is watch my live stream from last week, because I went into great detail exactly showing you how to evaluate the brood to determine if your queen is okay, and if she's not, how long it's been since she has been deceased. And so in your case, you got a lot going on there. This is the kind of things, this is the reason I'm making this video, Beth, is for you and for others that face these kind of dilemmas and they're not sure what to do. In your case, you've got some queen cells high up on the frame. You got some low on the frame. And so you say, I got supersedures up here. They're raising new queens up here. They're raising more queens down here. You went back later. All the swarms are gone, but the 2 up there are still there. I'm suspecting that there may not be anything in the cells up above. Are they closed? It sounds like to me that they were still some queen cells up high. The supersedures were still there. And you said still open. That means they're not kept over at the bottom of the queen cells. Did you look up in there and do you see a larvae floating in royal jelly? Sometimes these supersedure cups, we call them, are just there for an emergency in the future. So check that out. Now, if you don't have eggs and all your swarm cells are gone, I would suggest leaving those supersedure cells, the high ones, as if they have the larvae in there. Let them raise a queen from there. Now, on the other hand, Beth, if you take my suggestion, look up in those queen cells and they're empty, they don't have any, we call them charged, they don't have any larvae in them. What you're going to have to do is say, okay, there's no queen cells at all, and I looked and there's no eggs at all, you got to buy a queen. Or if you'd taken my queenery class, you could raise your own queens, but you may not be there yet. So do exactly what I suggest, and let's get this hive queen right as soon as we can. I'm a first-year beekeeper, pulled my queen out to mark her. When I put her back in, she just sat there. Should I be worried? Now, if you handled her correctly, and if you did not pinch her in the head too much, or didn't squeeze her abdomen, something like that, if you didn't injure her, not to worry. I've literally, remember one time, taken a queen out. This was only like 2 or 3 years ago. So I have experience marking thousands of queens. 2 or 3 years ago, I picked one up, I marked her, and when I put her back in the hive, she literally looked dead. I put her on a frame, and she just rolled over, feet straight up. So I was like, wow, that's not good. So anyway, I sat and watched for a little bit, and she seemed to move slightly, or the bees moved her. Anyway, they all kind of piled on top of her. I put the hive back together. Came back. I was really concerned. So the next day, I was trying to figure out, what did I do wrong? I did everything perfectly. The next day, I went back out there, walking around. She's laying eggs. She's perfect shape. I have read that there are occasions when queens will, for lack of a better word, pass out. And they just don't move. And yeah, they come back. So I would go back and check in a few days, make sure all is well. Can a virgin queen go 3 weeks before being mated? You're right at the line right there, Delmer. 3 weeks is 21 days. That's the time that we say if she doesn't mate within 21 days after being born, that she will lose the urge to go mating. So I'm sure that's not like an expiration date. It's not like 201, the milk went bad. I think it's more like approximately 3 weeks. So you're at the limit right there. What time of the year to requeen? Best time for me, Vladimir, is to really requeen after the summer solstice, as soon as you can. So after June 21st up until however late you can go, but you still want it to be kind of like summer, I guess. So yeah, sometime in the summer you need to requeen. Hey Johnny, how late in the year is it too late to raise new queens? When do drones stop becoming available for mating flights? Drones stop becoming available for mating flights when they get killed or pushed out of the hive so they can't eat and stay nourished and they die. Up until then, they're still doing their job. As long as drones are flying in and out, they're doing their job. They're going to DCA's drone congregation areas. But let's get back to your first question. How late in the year is it too late to raise new queens? It gets harder to raise new queens the further into the year you go. Now, for me, I can easily raise queens into the early part of August here in Illinois for me. But I can notice after that, it gets a little tougher. Oh, the best way to look at this is, when are your hives naturally raising queens? During the swarm season. So you're going to have much more luck raising queens during the swarm season. For me, that's May and June and July. Yeah, good question. Jen says, if my queen isn't laying good enough, or isn't laying enough, should I remove her and let the hive raise their own queen? Do I need to limit the number of queen cells they make, or just leave them alone? Okay, Jen, very good question. You can do both. Yeah, you could actually let them raise their own queen, and that is fine. And usually they don't make a whole bunch of queen cells when they're superseding. You may just get lucky and see 1 queen cell or 2. I would not remove any of them. Let the bees do all that themselves. I do want to share a caveat with you. If you have a queen that isn't laying enough and you let them raise a queen from her genetics, you're risking a slight teeny tiny risk that genetically her daughter may not raise enough. It's not likely to be the case because maybe the mom wasn't mated well enough. But anyway, you might consider buying a new mated queen. Hey, Danny, if you get a queen cell from someone, how long do you have to place it in a hive, and how warm should you keep it? Now, Danny, this is very, very precise right here. You can't cheat this at all. Let me break it down for you, for all of you. Now, a queen cell, what is it, capped over on around day 8, let's say 7 or 8, a queen cell is going to be capped over. A queen's going to emerge after the egg was laid on day 16. So after it's capped, you got about 8 days. Here's the tricky part. I would never handle a queen cell that is less than about 13 days old. If you can do the math, that's kind of hard to figure out unless you knew when you started raising that queen. But what I'm trying to say is the queen cells are to be vertical, like up and down like this, right? And the queen is a pupae in a cocoon in that cell. And if you tilt it, it can injure her and challenge her development. And she may not be a good queen. And as far as the temperature, she does have to be kept in the 90s and kept warm. And so when you take her out, you expose her to 70, 80 degrees, that's going to be a problem. It could actually kill her as well. And so you're going to have to wait until she's almost ready to emerge on day 13. And then if you have done your math correctly, you got about 2.5 days before you have to worry about her emerging. It's complicated. I told you it's very precise stuff. And so you don't have a lot of time, and you really got to know exactly the timing and all, is so that you don't accidentally expose her to too cold of temperature, lay the cell horizontal and injure her, or lose track of the dates and she emerges on your dresser in your bedroom or in your pocket of your bee suit or something. So that's kind of risky. When I was a young beekeeper and before I had studied bees, most people like you and me, we start out beekeeping not knowing very much, right? You learn from experience and trial and error and mistakes. And so when I was young, I didn't really know what I was doing with queens. I mean, you're a young beekeeper, you see queen cells, you start figuring things out. And remember, I started 30 years ago. There was no internet, not a lot of information compared to today at all. And so I was surprised when I got more knowledgeable to realize all the dumb mistakes I made when I didn't know stuff, right? I was carrying 2 younger queen cells in my front pocket, and I was just letting them die from being too, I wouldn't say cold, but not warm. And they were held in a horizontal position in my front pocket and sloshed around, and they died in their cells. And I couldn't figure out why they were dying. So, you got to know bee biology. All of us have to we can benefit from understanding bee biology and knowing these things about queens. Now, this video is going to be helpful, I believe, for those of you that may have future queen issues. And now you kind of have a little bit more bee biology knowledge from this video, and you'll know more about what to do. Now, I want you to watch the video where I talk more about understanding how to evaluate the health of your queen by looking at the larvae that she's laid and making decisions on brood and all. Watch that video. Let's go over there right now. I'm going to meet you over there. You go ahead and start. I'll catch up with you. Here's the video. See you over there.